Доброго дня, дороге товариство. Ми раді вас вітати.
So, good afternoon. We're happy to welcome you at yet another awarding ceremony for the Climate Innovation Vouchers. So, starting from 2007, Ukraine was the first country within the area of responsibility of EBRD. There's this Climate Innovation Vouchers grant program. It's the point of support to many of the consistent green innovators in Ukraine and in the world. So it's very important that those companies participating in the program create products for the Ukrainian and for the European market. So today we'll identify these 13 new companies who would receive grant funding. But before that, I'd like to pass the floor to the coordinator of the climate direction, Mr. Gregory Tsouris. So, Gregory, the floor is yours.
Окей. Здається, Грегорі... Ага, я бачу Грегорі.
I believe... Okay,
Hello.
I can see Gregory.
Hello, it's an honor to be with you. Dear winners of the award and all the team, I'm really happy to be with you today on behalf of the European Commission. And I really wanted to start by thanking you all for all the courage and continued commitment to promote climate change and the green agenda despite the challenges and the extremely difficult context of the war. We are witnessing an unprecedented energy crisis caused by the Russian aggression to Ukraine. And the necessity, and we see once again the necessity for new energy sources and green innovation which can make our livelihoods more agile and sustainable. In this regard, your work and your inventions are extremely important. The solutions for better innovative energy-saving technologies and products that you are developing are the proof that transition to a fully circular and green economy is possible. And I also believe that this will be one of the factors of growth for when the time comes from reconstruction of Ukraine's economy. So I'm very happy that EU policies and funding contribute to the green transition in Ukraine, and as the example of this award shows, and potentially can contribute to Ukraine's energy and economics resistance and resilience too. So I would like just to thank the teams of EBRD and Green Incubators who are implementing the FinTech project and this award component as part of it, and for continuing to promote green technologies and green financing for small companies in Ukraine. It's very encouraging, as well as the fact that Ukraine is still committed to integrate the principles of the European Green Deal, which now with the candidacy of Ukraine being confirmed for EU membership, will become one integral part of Ukraine's policies, economic policies as well. Your investments, inventions, and green investments are extremely important to show that such a change makes sense economically as well. So our goal is to make Europe's economy stronger, more competitive and more sustainable, and reversing the impacts of climate change and enabling Europeans to live in a healthy environment. I do hope that we see today as the winning project is not only the tip of the iceberg, and that Ukrainian enterprises will continue their successful development along the green path. I wish you a quick victory of Ukraine over the Russian aggressor and all the best for the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Gregory. That's very inspiring, and we can confirm that the winners of the Climate Innovation Vouchers of previous times, they do support Ukrainian exports, and they do help grow Ukrainian green GDP and increase resiliency. Окей, я переключуся назад на українську мову і хочу представити мою...
So, I would like to introduce my wonderful colleague, Olha Subchik. She's together with me. Well, Olha is the coordinator of the project, and that means that there's a whole lot of work has been done in terms of the preparation of this project. It's done by Olha. So, Olha, what can you tell me? We were planning to finalize the selection, I think, in summer. So on the 28th of February, we're supposed to finalize the collection of the requests, but for known reasons, we have continued that process. Having all this program in your hands, anything that you've opened for you out of our green innovators in terms of what they're doing? Well, in fact, this program And the fact that we've gathered today, it testifies the strengths of our nations. So thank you for this. I thank the innovators. There's so many decent businesses among you that, despite anything, promote the green innovations. Despite anything, are joining our broadcasting today, and I'm very grateful to the EBRD and the US for their financial support, and it allows us to support the innovators and to promote the green innovations. Indeed, without the innovation and the initiative of the EBRD, as well as the funding of the European Union, that would be something that would be impossible. And this is something that is crucial for us. There's one more team of people, in fact, the largest team of people that we have to thanks to, that is the Armed Forces of Ukraine and the Air Defense of Ukraine, as they allow us to have a conversation today, both online and offline, because currently we are broadcasting from the protected premise. It is because of the Russian aggression we had to move our uh, streaming from the offline mode into the online. But you all know who allows us to continue working. That is the armed forces of Ukraine. So let us continue supporting them. Now, one more dimension that we would like to mention before before identifying the winners for these grants and the climate innovation vouchers. Now, this dimension. Oh, by the way, I'm just told that fortunately we have a representative of the EBRD.
Great to have you here. We had to improvise a bit. Sorry, we can't hear you.
Dmitry, maybe you're on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Perfect.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you very much. Good afternoon. Just a few words about what we do in Ukraine and why today's event is important. I mean, the EBRD, as you know, is the largest institutional investor in Ukraine. The EBRD will commit up to 3 billion euros over the next couple of years, 2022, 2023, to help Ukraine's business community and economy to keep functioning. And this represents a 50% increase in our commitment to Ukraine compared to what we were doing before the aggression. By the end of November, the bank has already undertaken well over 1 billion euros of activity in Ukraine. The EBRD has a very strong focus on the recovery of Ukraine, the needs for rebuilding the Ukrainian economy. I mean, as we all know, that they are quite significant, they are huge. And we believe that Ukraine should be able to rebuild, and we're ready to support Ukraine to rebuild in a sustainable way with the involvement and the development of the private sector. The bank, the EBRD itself, has committed to fully align its activities with the goals of the Paris Agreement by the end of 2022, and this basically entails a very significant rethinking of internal practices within the EBRD. As such, each of the EBRD's investments is being screened quite extensively to ensure that they are consistent with this Paris Agreement alignment goal. Our environmental, including the climate-related standards, they should be applied for all activities. We are determined that when supporting Ukraine, we will not compromise on the quality, but also there is a very significant ambition that we have with respect to Ukraine going forward. There is a need for supporting innovations across our country's operation, but also in Ukraine in the first place. The EBRD has the mandate from the Conference of Parties of the UNFCCC to support a global initiative towards climate technology transfer. As part of this initiative, the EBRD developed and deployed climate innovation voucher program, which aims to provide grants to clean tech developers. We, the EBRD, are grateful to our donor, the European Union, which has provided the overall funding for the Finance and Technology Transfer Center for Climate Change, the so-called FinTech program and climate innovation vouchers, in particular under the EU Neighborhood Investment Platform. And we are glad to announce the new wave of climate innovation voucher beneficiaries and reconfirm our very strong support for green economy developments in Ukraine. Today, 13 small and medium-sized enterprise will be awarded for a total amount of innovation vouchers of €500,000. Thank you very much, and glory to Ukraine, glory to heroes.
Стосується енергетики. І як всі ми
We all understand that over the past several months, the energy sector of Ukraine is one of the targets for our enemy, and today's is yet another confirmation of that. And before announcing our winners, we've decided to have a panel on how can we make the energy networks resistant and resilient, and do how can we adapt the energy networks to any challenges. Now, we have a very interesting expert from around the world. Now it's 17:45, and as promised, we are passing to this panel, which is called Pathways to Grid Resilience. And I'll switch into English. And for those who would like to listen to our discussion in Ukrainian, you can watch our stream with the interpretation at our Facebook page, Facebook.com/GreenCubator. And on the YouTube channel, there will be a streaming in English. Also, there's a LinkedIn incubator page. So, are we ready? So, once again, big thanks to Gregory, to Dmitry for their introductory words. And now we're ready to continue with our panel discussion. Now, do we have all of our guests with us at this point? And who do we already have? I do apologize for the small pause, as we do have some issues in connection because of the energy situation. So we're ready to start the conversation.
English now, and it's my pleasure and privilege to introduce the experts we're having in our resiliency of energy grid discussion panel. So I'm delighted to introduce to you Vadim Utkin. He is the battery expert, but now he is on the front lines of scouting for all the technologies and equipment required to restore Ukrainian grid. Vadim is working for DTEC, Ukraine's largest private utility. Vadim, welcome on board. I'm also delighted that with us is the chief energy diplomat, the expert with a deep understanding of Ukraine's energy realities in EU delegation, the Minister Council on Energy, Torsten Wollert. Torsten, it's a pleasure having you here. Thank you for being with us. And across the half globe from sunny California is one of my personal, let's say, opinion teachers, and the person who inspired a lot of energy innovators. This is with us, Danny Kennedy, and Danny is the CEO of New Energy Nexus, world's largest acceleration initiative for energy innovations. Danny, welcome. Please, really happy to have you here. Okay, and I do hope we will have the Deputy Minister for Energy, Farid Safarov, joining us soon. But as far as I know, Vadim is jumping off to the really important meeting soon, so we probably should be starting. Okay, resiliency. We have electricity, and that's really important because this morning we had another barrage of Russian attacks on Ukrainian energy infrastructure. Vadim, you're actually at the edge of this fight for Ukraine's energy, for Ukraine grid energy resiliency. What you see from your point of view, from insider of energy sector, how Ukraine is fighting for its energy grid and how the energy professionals are fighting for keeping lights on.
Well, thank you very much for asking me first, right? So because I need to jump to our internal meeting where we are coordinating our activities to get the equipment damaged by Russian missiles or missiles. I don't know how to say missiles, probably. So just can somebody actually do me a favor and let me share my screen because the host disabled participant screen sharing.
Just
I got this
second,
message.
yep.
Yeah, if possible, right? So meanwhile, I'll make a very brief intro of what we are experiencing. So there is no single DTEC power station undamaged right now at that point of time. Different types of damages, but what clearly we see from from the pictures, right? So from what we experienced, that the Russians know where to aim. So basically, it's very well. That's not the new thought, right? You probably heard already that that the Russian utility workers, somebody who is working in the energy sector, is the war criminal, as well as the people who push the buttons and triggers, right? Because they're consulting them. We've been together, we've been living together since USSR times, right? So we just opened circuit breakers with Russia, I think 6 hours before the war, but the grid itself is pretty much the same, right? So they know where the most weakest point, and they deliberately hit these points. I just want to show you, if possible, one slide I prepare for my talk in Frankfurt. You probably see, right? Is there
Yes,
something come up?
we can see your slide.
Yeah, that's unfortunately that's not, or fortunately, well, I don't know how to say it. That was 23rd of November. I think this is 7 waves of.
Vadim, I'm sorry, we can see your slide at the moment.
You cannot.
Now.
I have no problem.
It's a very boring slide with the frequency drop. Very boring. So it's maybe it's even better that you cannot see it, right? So because this is a very scary slide, right? So to who can see this slide is actually it's the frequency drop in the actually I got this from one of our power station. I will not tell you which exactly for security reason, right? So, but this is exactly what happened at around 2:29 p.m. if I'm not mistaken, 23rd November, 7 waves of Russian missile attack. So this frequency drop is actually is a very scary picture for every utility professional, because what you see is actually we lost immediately roughly 3 up to 3.5 gigawatts of generation in a second. That's totally well unbearable, right, for any grid. And no matter how your grid is big, how many batteries you have, how many solar panels, it doesn't really matter. Your drop is so huge that actually you trip or Russian trips our nuclear power plants. We have 4 nuclear power plants, 15 units. I don't believe that all 15 units were online at that point of time, right? So, but the even if the half of the units switch to the backup gensets, it's not good, right? So because the nuclear power plant should not be running on the genset, right? It should be running on auxiliary load from the grid. This is exactly what happened after that. I believe that, okay, I'll stop sharing this scary stuff, so nobody wants to see that right anymore. So I do believe that I cannot come up with any other words like any other word as heroes, right? From TCO, from Ukrenergo, they learn a lot, so they have some ideas. Well, at least we experience. I saw that today, right? So we start preemptively switch off some energy area, right, to decrease the generation and load. and that's the probably saves and add up a little bit resilience to our grid. But finishing my short speech, I would say that I don't believe that we need to rebuild our power grid based on this, large generators, large load, and huge 750 kV, lines, power transmission lines, and so on. We need to come up with something better, with something new, and with something clever. So Russians should not actually put or knock down the grid by only 20 missiles, right? So they need to spend 20,000 missiles to knock down the grid. Hopefully, at that point of times, they will not have any missiles at that point of time. Roman, that's it from my end. So if you have any questions or you need more explanation what the hell I'm talking about here, so just shoot me, okay?
I think if the fellow panelists, if Torsten or Danny might have some questions to you, so I think the horizontal exchange would be really good for us. And I really like your idea of more decentralized, more distributed grid with less centralized points of failure. Torsten, Danny, do you have some questions to Vadim in the regard of the current operation of the utilities and grid?
Yes, I definitely have, but it's not to, about the technical details of the heroic management now at Ukrenergo and all the DSOs. I mean, this is just incredible. And but I wanted to come to your second point, which I found extremely important, and it's also, what now lots of people say, including the prime minister, etc. We need, and I think it's obvious, we need a more decentralized energy system. The question is, if we want to build this, who will invest? Who will operate it? Because I think technically, for instance, DTEC can do it, but it is more efficient, and I'm really in the hands of also of the panel. I think it's more efficient if you have more players than Ukraine has now. So that there will be more startups, more innovation, more local companies, more business people who go. Let's say, for instance, we have now the discussion about biomethane, which has nothing to do really with electricity, but where local businessmen go into energy. And I think this is something which I would like also to encourage people to think about. Who are the new investors? Ukrainian, together with international partners. What are the new technologies? For instance, when we talk about resilience, a lot of things can be done. For instance, energy positive buildings create already a certain amount of resilience in a limited area. So these are the things which I think we should push also on the political discussion in the future. But I stop here.
Torsten, I completely agree with you, right? So despite the fact that I'm working on the company that many people believe is the kind of monopoly on the Ukrainian market, and I feel this vibe even through the Zoom, right? So first of all, we are not monopoly
No,
anymore.
I really work with DTEC quite a lot, and I fully appreciate what you're doing.
Right.
I just think that the natural match of the future energy system is also with a wider variety of investors.
Absolutely agree, and just count me in, right? So all my peaceful job, right? The only one thing I'm doing, even here in the tech, right? So I promote the energy storage technology, the batteries, and everything. What I have doing here is to open the market for many players, right? For example, just to give you an example, right? So ancillary services, right? Frequency regulation. If you're following the regulation, so you probably you probably noticed that the threshold for capacity, which you can actually step into the ancillary service market, just recently dropped from 20 megawatt, which is the high, very high number, to 1 megawatt, which basically allows you to invest 1 million euro, and you got the battery, and you can do some meaningful and very useful frequency regulation for that one. So that's I think. Fruit of our joint labor with Ukrenergo. So just to open the market, more small players coming, more competition, and more innovation. So that's what I absolutely support you with. Okay.
Thank you. I see Farid Safarov, the Deputy Minister of Energy for Digitalization, is joining us also. Farid, we were discussing some of the essential realities here in the energy sector, and I was really delighted that Torsten and Vadim agreed that energy sector decentralization is essential to make grid more reliable. Farid, what is the first? Is it okay if I'm speaking English here? Farid, you hear me?
Yes, sure.
Okay. So, what is the Ministry of Energy vision on making Ukrainian grid more resilient? And maybe what are the lessons other countries can learn from us for making the grid more resilient? Farid, can you hear me? Because seems like your link is frozen. Farid, hello.
I'm sorry. Yes, problems with the connection. I'm sorry. Yes, thank you for having me here. So for the invitation, if you talk about the main challenges that the energy infrastructure is currently facing, first of all, we should say that we have two types of threats against the energy infrastructure. The first one is physical. The second one is cyber. So in terms of cyber defense and cyber protection, actually, we are proud that the system of reaction and protections that has been built for the last couple of years in the sphere of energy sector allowed us to combat effectively against all the major threats. Since the beginning of December, we focused very strongly on the protection of informational and cybersecurity in the energy sector. And except for a couple of incidents, I may say that we fully protected the energy sector. That brought the aggressor to the understanding that the next stage should be physical intervenence and the shelling of the substations and other types of infrastructure in order to I must say, to try to break our in the structure in terms of the energy sector is one of the things that the whole government is paying a specific attention to. So energy sector became the second front line of this war after the military forces, and for sure those engineers and those teams that are repairing the grid and became the second frontier of our military forces. So what we see and what are the conclusions when analyzing the actions of the aggressor against the mainly electric grids of Ukraine, and at the second stage, exploration and production of and transportation of the gas. First of all, we understand that no one can be easily protected if not to go by the Israeli scenario. So to have enough air protection systems. So mainly we can receive any type of assistance from our partnering states, from European states. We can receive any amount of equipment that is needed, but the next shelling will bring us to the same problems that we first faced earlier. So for example, just today we have a couple of substations of our DSOs that were destroyed, and actually there was the equipment that they received recently, and unfortunately it was destroyed today. So the first thing is that electric energy is a civil infrastructure, and civil infrastructure can only fully rely on the military infrastructures that can protect it. On the other side, there is always active and passive protection in terms of the grids. So the passive one is to construct some kinds of shelters for the main hearts of the substations, for auto transformers, for relay equipment, for the generation facilities, etc. So we received some consultations from our partners from different states, mainly from the USA and the United Kingdom. And the very first issue that they are noticing is that in order to restore and not to be under that stress in the future, we have to we have to refocus our infrastructure and to rebuild it back on the ground. So it is much more expensive. It cannot be done in the same way as the nuclear power stations, nuclear blocks, etc. But nevertheless, that is one of the tasks that we will definitely do in the future. Moreover, we understand that in terms of the receival and the supply of the humanitarian aid of different types of equipment, machinery, and other stuff, we face the problem of the difference between the topology and between the frequencies and between the voltage of the equipment. The Ukrainian electric energy grid is the one that has been constructed in 1960s. It has its own benefits and disadvantages. From the benefits, we may say that we definitely will be able to protect our critical generation, nuclear and hydro, when talking about the rocket shellings, because it was built during the Cold War, and actually it has been built in order to resist against the nuclear power, nuclear bombs. But on the other side, we have substations, and we have the transmission systems and distribution systems that are our weak points, because those grids are very sensitive and very gentle, I may say, and the only way how to protect them or to be able to quickly restore them is to make them similar to those that are used by the European Union. Just comparison, high voltage equipment that we are using uses 750 and 330. At the same time, European Union is using 400, 420, 440 sometimes, and 220. So the only way in order to quickly receive something or from the main manufacturers that are located in the European Union, we have just to be to use the same infrastructure as they do. Finally, if to sum up what we are going to do, and that is to build back better. So the main slogan of ours, Ukraine, is that we should be better than we were. So we were the legacy of the Soviet Union. We were the legacy of the common grid, common infrastructure in most of the spheres of the state's life together with Russia. But our direct strategy to be the part of European Union means not only the political will, not only the harmonization of our legislative basis, but also reconstruction of our main facilities to the same as they are used in the European Union. For sure, there is no bad or good infrastructure. There are problems that we face being isolated from the same that is used in European Union. And when talking about the main tasks that we do not have to leave for the future, but actually what we started doing in Ukraine is that we started the revision of the technical documentation that prescribes the way how the grid should be operated, the grid should look like, and how the generation should be connected to that grid. Mainly, our future focus is to develop nuclear generation, and for sure that is the own way of the development of Ukraine. Is something that differs it from the European Union. But in our energy mix, we want to focus on the green generation, and that green generation has to use the facilities that should be rebuilt. So mainly, there are different type of technical documentations. That is the starting point that we should revise. We should unify with the European Union, and we started doing that within the Nikolaev regions that suffered a lot from the shellings, from the occupation, etc. So what we do together with our European partners, and I appreciate the Lithuanian government agreed to finance those works. European experts are now working on the revision of the technical regulations, and it's not just to implement what the European Union is using. It is the right way of the steps that should be done in order to comfortably and easily change the infrastructure. So not just to destroy everything and to build it from scratch. It is about the 10-year strategy, 10-year plan, how at the level of distribution system operators, and after that, at the level of transmission system operator, to remanufacture all those processes that we do have. So that is a future that is a part of our strategy and part of our goal. And the main thing is that we understand that it is the right way to develop Ukrainian energy sector, to focus more on electricity supply rather than on gas supply or oil supply, to decrease the amount of gas that is consumed by private households or the commercial sector, and to make it equal to the level of our own production. That is the energy independence of Ukraine, because the threats will not go go somewhere even after we win in this war. So there will be a constant threat, and not necessarily the military threat. It can be another type of threat, actually, that Europe is now facing, unfortunately. So the blackmailing of those who have the energy resources that are not renewable and that are allocated at some pieces of the world, and the rest of the world has to suffer from unfair and sometimes very aggressive actions of those. I appreciate to all of you for the discussions that you are raising today. I appreciate and express my deep honor to be here. And one more thing, I really appreciate the European Union at each of its levels for the constant support of not only of the energy sector, but mainly of the energy sector. And I may say that our European partners became trendsetters, and the whole world after that started supporting us as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Farid. I saw the question from Torsten, and I'm really eager to give the floor to Danny. Torsten, you have is the question?
Well, I can do it later. Let's have Danny first, I think.
Okay, so Danny, you are creating new decentralized energies, and you are based in the region which also faced one of the blackouts. California cases, well, different nature, but blackouts were there. What are on the edge of innovations? What the solutions in your portfolio and the strategies in your portfolio that can make the grids more resilient and maybe utilize the Ukrainian grid?
Yeah, well, thank you, Roman, and thank you everyone for having me. It's a real honor and privilege to be speaking with you and hearing from your real lived experience. And, you know, I can't stress the support and solidarity we feel here in the United States and around the world for the struggle that you're in, and hope that you will vanquish the aggressor. And the second front of the energy system is critical for that. And just to the question, our experience here in California, where I'm speaking to you from, but also New Energy Nexus runs innovation clusters in other countries. And I think Australia is equally, if not more, relevant to the conversation for Ukraine. You know, similar sized population, a little bit smaller, went through a kind of fire of its own, literal fire in 2019, if you remember. And, you know, many of the grid assets were impacted. And the kind of evolution of that electricity system is very much what the Deputy Minister and others have been speaking about here, where you do see grid edge assets becoming really instrumental in building back better and resilient networks. And some of that is because competition, you know, truly here in California, we've had a similar problem with fire and destruction of, you know, assets from transmission through distribution, but even generating assets and drought impacting the hydro and so forth. We have monopoly service in much of California, however, and that has limited the creativity at the grid edge of the technologies implemented to produce solutions. And so, you know, I'm really excited to sit through the award ceremony here and hear about these fantastic entrepreneurs who I believe are really going to be the agents of success. You know, the commando in this war in the energy front is going to be the groups of young startups that create these grid servicing, firming technologies that can actually, you know, at a 1 megawatt scale, somehow keep that voltage up and do frequency regulation and do all the ancillary things that we know we're going to need as grids come under siege from all sorts of aggressors, not just the Russians, but climate change, fire, drought, and other changes in our systems globally. So yes, we do see great technologies. I mean, we're going all the way down sub 1 megawatt. I got to be honest, you know, in California and the United States and Australia, vehicle to grid technologies using batteries on wheels as assets. You know, the energy storage guy from DTEC was talking about how they've augmented some of the backup generation and so forth with battery storage. We're certainly doing that at speed and scale here in California, but we're also going to go down the wire all the way to the car in the garage and on the street. We have startups now putting batteries in stoves, in induction stove technology that people are installing in their houses to get off gas. And the stove then has an independent power supply for if there's a blackout, but it's also an asset that can be called upon even at that micro scale. You know, this is the future, a future which will be mediated by software. But, you know, my belief is that Ukraine is one of the giants in the world software entrepreneur ecosystem. And you all probably through adversity will invent and create systems to digitize and link and tie together these technologies so that we can serve resilient electricity in the face of all of these threats. So yeah, I'll stop there, but really appreciate your work and again, all power to Ukraine, literally and figuratively.
Thank you very much, Danny. And just a quick question before Torsten, if I may. From New Energy Nexus portfolio, from your experience, what are maybe key cases of the startups creating technologies significantly helping grid operators, utilities to become more efficient, more sustainable, and more resilient? Do you have some cases, and where are they? Is it artificial intelligence? Is this software? Is this new hardware? Where the new technologies are born?
I'll give you just a couple of examples. Here in California, you know, we were talking about undergrounding the critical assets on the grid. We supported a number of years ago a company here that was taking batteries and for the first time safely undergrounding them. So that required interesting, venting technologies underground, just in case there was a thermal episode, so that they could create charging stations on the surface without taking ground away for battery storage. And they were using the sort of vaults that are traditionally used to house power electronics for the batteries. You know, that's one example. Going across the Pacific from where I am in California to Australia. Another one that I think could be a Ukrainian example, you know, to roll out backup and to distribute generation. Fast deployment of solar is becoming a very important thing. And out of the bushfires in Australia, a company called 5B, if you look up 5b.com.au, you'll see a great video, has invented a technology to deploy solar panels at a rapid rate by prefabricating them and containerizing them for deployment. So basically they hinge the solar panels together on top, and then they swing them together in a container and they drive them out to the site. They drop the container and they roll them out on these steel ropes, these steel wires. And effectively they can deploy, you know, a megawatt in a day with 10 guys. You know, the scale and speed, they're talking about, you know, minutes for kilowatts to be deployed and interconnected to grids. And then, of course, as you asked, software is key. We have many dozens of companies that are innovating, you know, cybersecurity software technologies like Aperio out of Israel, and others for this kind of grid control technology. One last one, because you asked me and my mind starts racing. We have 600 companies in our portfolios around the world, so I can't list them all and I won't bore you, but a really amazing Australian technology, again, for transmission fixing, using drones for deployment of transmission. You know, people don't think that's possible. Traditionally, high voltage cables are carried by chopper and ground crews string them between the towers. But these guys are using light lines and dynamic ropes to run over with drones and then pull with winches the high voltage cables. And so they can deploy 2 miles of line in a period that would take 2 days for a conventional ground crew and chopper to do it for a fraction of the cost. This is called infravision.com.au. We've just brought them to the United States to work in fire-prone areas to restring transmission. And again, if the Russians are blowing up your transmission towers, this is the sort of technology that might be necessary to rebuild quickly.
Yeah, certainly that might be on the agenda for Ukraine. And I see that our distinguished panelists have some questions horizontally. And Torsten, I believe yours was the first, right?
Yeah, thanks a lot. And also thanks for the inspiration that Danny gave us, because I think now is really a great time for energy innovators in Ukraine, because everybody understands up to the president that the, Build Back Better is serious. It's not just a slogan. You need to be better because that's an old Soviet system which has been underinvested in. So now is the moment. And now is also the moment for innovation to be implemented in the grid and in the system. And when you think about it, I mean, all the technologies that Danny mentioned, I think a lot of them can be very relevant for Ukraine. But I think Ukraine has the potential also to develop new technologies which have not yet been invented. For instance, now Ukraine is getting a lot of distributed energy production facilities, generators, batteries, gas-fired turbines, whatever. They are not interconnected. They are not centrally managed. It's now, wartime. We bring them in, we help. But I'm pretty sure somebody smart in Ukraine has the capacity to think about how to network them, how to contribute to what we discussed at the very beginning about this resilient, networked, decentralized energy system. And all these things now, they may be dumb, they may be smart, but they have not been interconnected. So I think if Ukraine could, do this for their own needs, there's a huge export potential as well, because that's not a unique technology. And also when, for instance, Farid mentioned that one of the areas for development in Ukraine is new nuclear. But on the other hand, as Danny also said, we have this regionalization tendency, and also Vadim said this. So we have more investors, smaller scale investors, and how to bring these things together, how to marry them in a system which is similar to Israel's system under permanent potential threat. Yeah. So, and we see that part of the Russian military approach now in the war is to use nuclear power plants as a weapon against the country. So the first thing they did Chernobyl. The second thing they occupied Zaporizhia, took 6 gigawatt out. Now every day 100 megawatt needs to be for cooling, and it can be turned into a, let's say, nuclear disaster if it's badly managed. And this was a strategy. I mean, they went with troops, with Terranska, the next nuclear power plant. So, all these things are now up in the air. They need to be solved. It's absolutely clear they need to be solved. And the innovators, I think Ukraine has to do this, but they need a good framework and they also need a good direction. And I think this format that we have now is certainly at the core of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Torsten. Actually, you reminded me of something, because some time ago, Ukraine was the #1 nation in terms of density of Starlink per million of population, and now Ukraine probably the leading nation in the concentration of the generators, portable generators, and home energy storage. And yes, that might be an opportunity.
So, I mean, you can either leave it as it is, and then you electrify all the campgrounds in Ukraine, or you do something super smart.
Yes, but I was feeling a little bit strange after getting rid of gas in my apartment and having only electric stove. Yeah, it's a little bit challenging these days. Okay, dear colleagues, the distinguished panelists, I cut a little bit from the award ceremony, but probably our awardees will be pushing me out of the chair pretty soon. So that's why I'll have to invite you to your closing conclusion part. So if you have some final core idea to share with our online audience, or with those people who will be listening to us further, how would you summarize the experience of times we are going through, how we build resilient grids so other nations learn from us, and not just build back better, but also build forward. I understand that strong air defenses is essential component of grid resiliency, but there are a lot of technological and policy components. So how would you concentrate them in really dense idea? Who would start?
I'll start just to say again, thank you so much. And thank you for the work you're going to do to get through this. But let me just offer a vision that, you know, this time, if this had happened 5 years ago, I think it would be different. At this time, nothing is cheaper than solar on Earth to produce electricity. It's coming out of factories around the world at a scale that is hard to imagine. Like, you know, we just saw the World Energy Outlook reforecast the decline of gas now, the flatlining of gas demand. So Putin has done himself a disservice by destroying demand structurally. And the projection for solar is now that as much will be created in the next 5 years as has been created. So the product is going to be cheap and richly available, as will batteries, the technology that you need for this distributed energy solution set that you're talking about. They'll become very cheap through this next period. So, you know, assuming you win this war in the next year and then build back better over the subsequent years, the opportunity is ripe to create the vision of what the 21st century needs in the world, that Ukraine will actually lead coming out of these ashes like some phoenix, the best possible structure in an electricity grid, technology based on this cornucopia of options we now have. You know, I don't imagine nukes will be resorted to because of the costs and economics of those. You will end up with a distributed grid built around these technologies. And this adversity you're facing now is possibly just this opportunity through the challenges you face to create something that will lead the world. So that's what I see. And all these entrepreneurs that are going to win these awards that I should shut up to allow get on the main stage are the reasons why, as well as the deputy minister and the president and the rest of you leading Ukraine and the world in the fight against fascism. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Danny. Who would take next slot? Farid, yes, welcome. We can hear you. Just 1 second.
Yeah, I fully agree with Danny. So may I say one thing? So it is you, as a person, you always think that the state can solve any type of the problem. You always think that there are huge companies who create the solutions. But at the end of the day, that is a man or a woman. Yeah, so I just mean that is a person who initiates creative ideas. It is at the end of the day one genius who creates some solution, and at the end of the day, those are people who are very so they are very I may say productive in terms of the creation of new solutions. And what I understand is that in any case, in whether it is Ukraine or another state, it will be smart people, as our San Francisco colleague is mentioning, that will be smart, young, or not necessarily young people who will create the solutions that will change the world. We definitely, as a state, have to create new opportunities, but those opportunities are like the waves, and those young people are the surfers who should try to take over this wave, yeah, and ride that wave. So on my side, personally, as being a part of the government, I can say only one thing: the main task of the government is not to create any type of stepping stone. It's just to create the opportunities and possibilities, and when seeing them, to support them, because nevertheless, you have to create a legislative basis or create some opportunities, possibilities for those people. We will definitely do that. We're just always are open to new ideas that can be developed by such people who are participating today here, or the others about whom we still do not know, but I expect that the next year we will definitely see them. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Farid, for encouragement for innovators. And, you know, when listening to you, I was I don't remember the author of this phrase, but somebody told amazing thing. never waste a good crisis. So, well, the crisis we are facing is pretty impressive. So we should not waste it and use it as a fuel to empower the energy innovators of the future. Okay, Vadim is no longer. Vadim had to jump off to the meeting, and we have Torsten. Torsten, the floor is yours.
Just very briefly, I fully agree. And very concretely, I think what the state, Ukraine, could do, and which you see when you come from the EU, which is really missing, is the link between local businesses and local innovators. The companies need to be encouraged to work with the local innovators, to bring their business models into their own business, and then to look for international partners, etc. Because if the innovators have to go to California, to Denny, to get support, most likely they will stay there.
Okay, and at this note, I should say that innovators are waiting. So to our audience online, I'm asking you to applaud to our distinguished panelists so they could hear. Thank you very much, Danny. Thank you very much, Farid. Thank you very much, Torsten. And thank you very much, Vadim. And now we are turning to awards. To those colleagues who are English speaking, I'll be switching back to Ukrainian now, but we have English language stream on our YouTube and on our LinkedIn. There will be translation provided, okay? І зараз настає час переключитися на
Now is the time to switch to the awarding ceremony. All you've been waiting for so long. Yes, indeed, I was. I've been waiting since summer, so we've been waiting for long until this opportunity. And in fact, we would like the whole world to know who would be awarded with those grants. So, which sector do we start with? We'll start with agriculture. Okay, so the agriculture in Ukraine is the leader in terms of export. Metallurgy was the second one, but metallurgy would take a lot of time to recover. So agriculture is not a traditional sector, but this is the super innovative sector. And it requires climatic innovations because from the standpoint of generation of emissions, agricultural sector generates something like 25 or 28 percent of CO2, global CO2 emissions. Now, our first group, well, I would like to add that agriculture has a lot of innovators, particularly in this current wave that we have. So let us invite the first company in this sector, and I have, you know, certain regional sympathies with this company. Wasn't there any conflict of interest? No, no conflict of interest, surely. But this company is coming from my native sort of places. That's from Winitsa region. This is the place I've spent parts of my childhood. So this company actively working on developing solutions for a very precise um, works with the soil. That's in order to produce, they increase the effectiveness of agriculture. And it helps to increase the production of the farmers. So what do? They offer a comprehensive package. Well, for the farm is the complex as well. So our team produces a solution that allows to manage all the processes for growing products in real time, to set all those processes as well as to create a clear strategy for growing harvests. So this team allows farmers and agricultural companies to become more effective, to lose less, and to earn more. And we're giving them the grant for what reason? For the certification, for scaling up the markets, and for doing marketing researches, for strategy, and for ensuring the protection of their property rights. So can we name them? Okay, there's the hard time to do that. So it's a great pleasure for us to call the first winner. That's the company called Friend. Vitaly is with us, the co-founder and the owner of the company. Greetings. Thank you for coming to our studio. So just come closer so that you'll be able, so that everyone would be able to see you. That's your decoration. Hopefully you'll place it in your office. So, Friend is the prominent innovative company. We've learned a lot about you during the assessment period, and we are very happy that you are among the green innovators. Any steps further? Well, our first objective was to have the protection of the intellectual property. And currently we have a company in Poland, in UK, and we were lacking the resources. And now, thanks to this grant, our European integration could go much faster. And we can show the Europeans what are the innovations, and I believe we can help with reducing the CO2 emissions. Thank you. And we wish you to have all this happen and to inspire the future generation of innovators. And it's great that we're not working in vain. So thank you. Thank you and congratulations. Okay, let's go further. So we continue working with the agricultural sector, and we have two more companies from this sector. Now I can already see the co-founder of the one of those companies. I believe Alexander, who was supposed to be the next one. He didn't manage to get to us, and I've seen him online. Let us check this. He's available online, so, but we haven't mentioned, he named this company, so uh, what are their area of expertise? They're maybe kind of a competitors on the market on in the field of precise agriculture, and but they're not your neighbors, coming not from Vinica. So definitely no conflict of interest. Well, we have the whole Ukraine, which is represented, so hopefully. What do we know about this company? They are the experts in precise agriculture, but they have a bit different area of expertise. So what they're producing, they're making sure that every wheeled machinery, they're turning every wheeled equipment into a smart one. Yes, they've developed a brand, and they produce this equipment by themselves, and they're exporting that. So this equipment is working not only in Ukraine, but maybe in 10 countries. Well, I don't know the others, but Moldova, Kazakhstan are surely among those countries. Okay, what this product produces? It gives clear evaluation of the fields, and it allows to well, to use herbicides in a more effective manner, and it allows also to have a kind of a navigational system for agricultural equipment. Besides, it allows to use some of the equipment at night. So let us give it a name, Berdari Katres, and CEO Alexander Prikhotchenko. So greetings, Alexander. Let us show their decoration, their award, in fact. Let me help you. Alexander. So that's it. There's your decoration. Greetings, it's all yours. We shall keep it, and you can come to our place, or we can mail it to you. So, Alexander, what are you planning to do with the help of this voucher? First of all, thank you. We're happy to join such a community, and our team will work for the success of the Ukraine and for making sure we have a clear environment globally. So thank you for supporting us in such difficult times. So we'll further develop our devices so that every farmer would be able to use it, so that it would be more accessible and more effective in the field. Thank you, Alexander. Greetings to you, and welcome, of course, and congratulate you. So we'll be sending this award, and you are already able to, well, work. And our last representative of the agricultural bloc is the team that we know from the very beginning of their existence. And traditionally, when our office was located at the Grinchenko Street, it all started with the cheesecakes at Urban Space. Well, a lot started with the cheesecakes in that restaurant. Then it was a competition climate launchpad. Then it was one of the best climate startups of the world at Climate Launchpad, and in the finals at Amsterdam. And now we would like to invite a team which is doing a very good resource out of the air. It produces CO2 out of the air. Now, why do we need the CO2? To facilitate the growth of the plants in the greenhouses. Okay, this team uh, says tend to say that makes you to great again. So if you were an owner of a greenhouse, then the CO2 enriched atmosphere would allow to increase your harvest by 20 to 30%. So this innovatory team takes the CO2, it infuses that for the plants, and this is something that is very effective. But where's the climate innovations? I mean, what's the problem? What's the challenge? Why is it so important for the climate? Well, because the other option for CO2 is something that you would need to, to carry in the canisters, and that involves a lot of money. So the product is much cheaper than the product of the rest of the competitors. Besides, there's no issues with the transportation. So the CO2 is being captured locally. So that's one of the aspects of the consistent development. So we can invite now the co-founder of the carbon miner company, Nico Saika. So congratulations. Please have a seat. Okay, so here's your award. We were planning to announce the winners, and we've received your application in February. We understand the reasons, but there's so many reasons. But it all starts with one letter. So, Nick, we're very happy that Carbo Miner has been growing basically so close to other than that we've been working with your companies over a number of programs, and that's a good story of success. So what are you planning to do? We decided to spend this grant on two directions. First, we'll be using this money for the protection of our intellectual property abroad, and then we'll need some money for the development of cloud solutions for remote monitoring of our equipment, and maybe for the remote control as well. And why is this climate-friendly technology? Well, the equipment can take the CO2 out of the air, which is negative emissions. Besides, this technology allows the greenhouse operators to um, avoid burning the natural gas for the CO2 production and for the heating of the greenhouse. Instead, they would be able to get CO2 out of the clean air. So it's a climate positive approach, absolutely. Okay, what's the stage of your technologies? Where do you have your equipment being installed? They're not yet installed. We are at, well, this week we've supplied our first um, equipment to the pilot project. That's together with the CRH company. And this pilot project is being implemented in Vishneva. And hopefully in January, we'll already get the result of the pilot. That's the pilot that we're supposed to have in Romania. Yes, it was relocated closer to us. That's right. So, congratulations. And would be happy to learn more about your success because the carbon miner is the story of a very interesting investment project because uh, when this team passed this climate launch program, you've got the investments from one of the from Alexander Kosovan, who's the IT businessman, and he. So it's a very interesting case when IT businessmen are fueling the climate innovations. Good. So congratulations. Now it's all. Now we're coming to a very difficult stage. That is the implementation of the project. So congratulations. Thank you, Nick. Thank you to all the teams on the agricultural sector. Now, what do we have next? Well, there's a lot of interesting companies. And by the way, we'll have 10 companies. So we have uh, a lot of applications. We don't know the reason for this phenomenon, but the climate vouchers are becoming very popular, and we hope that this trend will continue. And this will turn into a global hub of green innovations. Okay, so the next segment that we're going to cover, and let me uh, let me have the name of this segment. So, circular economy, and the processing of materials. So it's going to be the first one. Those who have, those who are watching our stream, they can already see. So let's start a team who we are happy to see. The team who has showed us a lot of interesting approaches in terms of the business development. A team that has created a very interesting product. And you maybe heard about this. So, come on, come on. This is a team that is producing paper out of the fallen leaves. And maybe you know that we can't burn the leaves. And hopefully, the leaves, the fallen leaves, will become a very favorable, very desirable product material for producing the paper. So, it is a pleasure for me to invite a team called Relief Paper, which is producing paper out of the fallen leaves. And already L'Oreal, Samsung, Chanel, and some other brands are using this paper. So, where's our winners? Alexander is supposed to be with us offline, and Valentin is supposed to join us online. So, do we have Alexander Sabolenko with us? I'm happy to be with you, but online. Greetings.
Нам дуже приємно вам її показати.
We are very happy to show you this decoration. So hopefully you can see this decoration. It's a bit blurred at this point, but this is your climate innovation voucher. That's your reward for award to relief paper. We are very happy that you have become the winner of this program, and we'll be looking forward to your results. Unfortunately, it's so dark, so we can hardly see you. You don't have the electricity. I guess that's the case. So that's the conditions for creating the climate innovations in Ukraine, but Ukrainians are not retreating. So, and we would be very happy to join your successes. So very
Розкажіть, на що
big
плануєте
thanks to
витратити
you on behalf of the oldest team. So how are you planning to spend this grant money? And well, we are ready to start the project as soon as we will have uh, an instruction from you. So we have a number of activities. There's a lot of them. First of all, we are planning to conduct an industrial test of the equipment in the nearest time, since we are coming to the construction of our first production facilities. And the first part is the industrial test of the equipment. Then we're planning to spend the money on our IP, because we have a trademark and we need to have an international trademark in many countries, because there's many people willing to do something the same. So we need to protect the relief paper. And the third direction is the certification of our products. Great. So we're wishing you success. Will you be able to come up and to pick up this award, or shall we mail it to you? Good. So we'll be waiting for you. Great. And congratulations, really. We've been watching over your progress. We're great. We're happy with your success. You're great. You're cool, just as the rest of the winners. So let's go further. The next team does something extra unique, extra special. Yes, and when we've heard about this idea, we were sort of surprised a bit. We were kind of, you know, surprised when we were able to, to hold it in our hands to try it. And that was during one of our activities, or that was a conference. I think it was a conference in the Unit City. Okay, good. And we had a chance to hold a product in our hands that was created through the joint work of a mushroom mycelium and another issue from the cannabis. And this product is used for packaging, for decorating, for packaging decoration, and then for it could be used as the fertilizers. And in fact, it could be a replacement to those products that could be fairly malicious and can be used in cosmetics, in clothing, and food products. So every product, they need to have a packaging. So the next award winner is the company that is producing a packaging which is non-toxic, which is waterproof, which is produced out of the recoverable material. And now uh, let me invite Yulia Biletska, the CEO of the company. We are very happy to welcome you among the winners of the Climate Innovative Vouchers. So this is your award. Congratulations. Your team has been working on this product for 3 years. Well, only 2 years, in fact. Good. But uh, you have a number of interesting pilots with interesting brands. So what are you planning to do with the support of the innovative amateurs? Well, first of all, I'd like to say that green technologies will win, just as Ukraine. And one of the major problems about the green technologies is the scaling up of those technologies. So we're doing everything possible in order to have our packaging affordable or accessible around the world. So we'll be creating a technology that would be easily scaled up so that it could be opened at any place of the world. And we're currently receiving all the patents, and we are further developing this technology and we'll be dealing with the engineering services. So, am I understanding you correctly? You are planning to teach the mushroom mycelium to grow this package. That's right. We'll be developing fast in an energy efficient manner, and we're using a lot less of water, CO2, and with every packaging produced, we are making sure that we have less waste for our landfills because we're using much less plastic. And surely those mushrooms, oh, hopefully those mushrooms will not take over control or over the people. Well, mushrooms, they're the clever organisms, so to say. There are future technologies saying that even houses could be constructed out of these materials and to keep the mushrooms alive. And if there will be a construction, if there will be a damage, then it could be even a recoverable and well, kind of buildings. Anyone interested in these technologies? Well, we have customers buying this packaging, and this is something that is already available on the market. But at this point, we're talking about SMEs in Ukraine. We're currently also working with the pilot projects. You've already mentioned L'Oreal, and we're working with the head office in France, and we've just recently started negotiations with Samsung, and they would like to have a packaging for their TVs. And we're doing the testing on the resilience of our materials for their TVs. Now that's interesting. Well, hopefully this support coming from the innovative vouchers will be scaled up. Congratulations. And that's for us. That's for us. Yeah, I have a lot of them. I have much more of them. Thank you. Good. And we'll have more from circular environment, circular economy, and processing. Now, which team is going to go next? That's a very interesting team. And let's say it has a lot to do with the previous beneficiary. They have a lot in common, I would say. So I'm holding this decoration, this award, which is hemp. The technical cannabis is used in many innovations. So now I'd like to invite the CEO of the company, which is building the buildings uh, on the basis of the technical cannabis or technical hemp. So congratulations. Here's your award. So you are producing the buildings out of technical cannabis and technical hemp. So the market is growing. Why do you need a voucher? Well, we have to be professional. So the material has to be accessible and has to be predicted. We need to have full certification and a whole spectrum of testing. And in this case, we'll be able to provide an accessible construction material for the country, for rebuilding, for making the life better, for creating alternative. That would be a local material. That's a Ukrainian raw material, and we are proud that all of the raw material is Ukrainian. And in fact, Ukrainians have received a superpower. And thanks to you, the Green Incubator, the international community, the EBRD, and the European Union, they motivate, they make us stronger, which is very good. We'll be able to do much more and much faster. Thank you. And congratulations. We wish you more victories and success. Okay, now we've finished with the circular economy. Now, who's going to be next? Who's going to be our next winner? That's going to be a segment which is very close with the implementation of one segment into the other. It's composed of two. And where is our presentation? Oh, here it is. So that's the segment that I've called IT and transport. That's how I called it. We've already said that transport is the pregnant hardware complex, all the way from the tractors to the aircrafts. Now we'll be talking to the teams working in the field of consistent mobility. And I've been, looking forward to have this segment. I like aircrafts. I like airfields and airports. Hopefully, this segment will return into our lives very soon. With and So we'll have not only the fighters but the civilian jets very soon. So the aviation, that's a large part of the mobility. But on the other hand, aviation is all around very significant emissions. So our team can reduce these emissions. It adds some additional mm, possibilities to all the equipment in order to reduce these emissions. So the founders, they worked a lot in the aviation segment and they helped to resolve these challenges of the aviation sector from the use of paper blanks in order to reduce the use of generators in the field or some other equipment. So it's a great um, it's a great opportunity for me to have the CEO of the company here with us. So please. So this is your award. Once again, congratulations. So, Andrew, we were fighting for this application. We had a lot of discussions around this application, and the team has shown a profound competence in your working. You had a pilot with Borispil, yes, and we had a pilot in with Odessa. What about Juliane? With Juliane as well. So I believe that now the main sector for you is the some airports in the other countries. So are they open to the projects with the AI and with the use of the processes produced by your company? First of all, thank you for the trust and support. Now, after the 24th of February, the only solution for us was to scale up for the international markets. And after the 24th of February, we've managed to launch a project with the Ukrainian airport. We are testing our software because it's very good to have a feedback from the users in order to further improve it. And we have an interest from the other companies from Middle East, from Africa. So we are fairly confident in reaching our objective. Now, what motivates the airline companies to reduce their emissions? Well, this is a global trend, and surely aviation was a driver for introducing environmental innovations. And this is something that you can see through the introduction of new approaches to the resource management in the airports, as well as the creation of new engines. So aviation was always a locomotive or technological changes. Yes, I remember back in 2013, I met a company from helicopter which is flying in Singapore. So hopefully there will be a time when flying from Ukrainian airports, we would know that the efficiency and the effectiveness of their work is partially guaranteed by your technology. So many thanks and congratulations. Looking forward to the successful implementation of your projects now. Be ready for this other phases of your project. So we'll continue with the transport sector. And who do we have next? Well, not actually the transport sector, not the aviational sector for sure, but with the consistent mobility. Now, next actor is working in a very interesting segment, which is electric mobility. So it's a great pleasure for us to present an award to another company that was with us at the Tesla camps, and now it creates the products for the world market, but in the sector of micro mobility. So
Зараз всі люблять самокати.
it's all about kind of a scooters or segways. Our next champion, our next awarder, is doing the wireless production of segways. So the company Meridalt is creating wireless charging stations for segways, and they've created the first in their world wireless charging station. So we have a technical director of Meridot, Roman. Yeah. What are you planning to, how are you planning to spend this climate innovation voucher? Well, first of all, I'd like to express words of gratitude to the Climate Innovative Voucher and to the EBRD and the European Commission, the European Union for the trust
стартапу висловили.
to our startup, and we'll be spending this voucher on the development of new line of products. First and foremost, on the development of the vertical station that would be much better integrated into the urban infrastructure. So we'll do some redesigning, we'll design new electronic modules, and we're also to have new software and hardware for the integration of the station into the infrastructure. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ramon, and congratulations. Well, we wish you more victories, just as to everyone else. So we'll be mailing your award, or we're waiting for you at our place. So let's have more on electric mobility. And it's great that we have so many applications in this sector. From the historic standpoint, uh, we've supported 5 companies already, and now we have more and more players. So the next one is the team that has created charging stations for the Ukraine and international. So we can tell who this is.
Давай. Не будемо
Yes, why not?
Вітаємо, IV Charging.
We congratulate the IV charging.
Ви з нами.
Yevgen, you're with us. Here's your reward. Yevhen Arutunyan is supposed to be with us.
Знаходиться не в Україні.
He's not in Ukraine, right? Or he was. I think he was with
З
us.
вами зі зв'язком.
Or maybe there was some problems with the connection.
Пане Євгене, побачите
So,
вас в записі.
Yevhen, you will see us later on, and we'll start the implementation of the project. So let's move on with electric mobility. Now, in the field of electric mobility, we have one more player. I think from the same, coming from the same region as Yevgen, that is the Odessa region. It's producing very interesting projects. The CEO of the company, which is creating software solutions for the charging infrastructure. So Serhiy Valchev and the company called EcoFactor. So Serhiy, I can see you with us online. So I'm holding your award, and we'll be looking forward to have a chance to give it to you. So how are you going to spend the innovative voucher? So welcome everyone, and I'd like to say big thanks to the team of the vouchers, to the BRD, to all those engaged in promoting the climate innovations and technologies. And I'd like to say that our current day proves that adaptivity is something that you would need to focus. The world is changing so fast that you'd need to be able to adapt to those changes, and we're planning to come up with the operational system of the charging station that would be very adaptive so that you would be able to rapidly change different components. And since the heart of our system is all about the adaptive software that we're implementing, we're planning to consider all those challenges that we face today. We're planning to develop a decentralized energy system with charging hubs at the center of it. So the soft is required to make sure that the charging of the cars would not be anyway a hamper to the whole overall system, but in fact it would allow to balance those frequencies and would become a point of stability, of energy stability. Now, this is what we were spending, we were planning to spend this voucher on the development of this voucher. Okay, thank you, and congratulations once again. Now, the final block and the final winners for us is the energy efficiency. Yes, this is a very topical block for us. We like the teams creating solutions in this area, and previous winners are offering the solutions for many different customers. So we have 3 vouchers. Now, the winners are the following. So first, I want to say that these are very interesting companies. Now, the first team is the team that is creating the sustainable solutions for real-time management for the real estate management, and that's the company called Advances. It's working on the market of high efficiency construction and construction solutions. We're happy to congratulate you on the winners of the innovative vouchers. And we have Alexander with us. Alexander, congratulations. We're happy to see you. So, can you hear us? Yes, we can hear you. Good. Um, I'm grateful to all the organizers and to European partners and to Ukraine partners for the support to our project and to our product. It's all about the further increase of energy efficiency of the real estate. It's already working in a series of facilities, but it requires some additional functionality in order to be fully implemented as the commercial product. That is why your support is so much important. So it's great that we can support companies like yours. So congratulations. We wish you have a very swift implementation. Thank you. And we only have 2 companies left. So the next company is the company that is producing solutions for energy efficiency at the enterprises. So let me ask you to change the slide. So that's the company which is producing intellectual solutions for the management of energy consumptions at large complexes. It has a series of sensors, an IA, a corporate energy panel, so that the companies would be able to consume energy more effectively, which is absolutely crucial under current conditions with its overloads, with its peaks. And now we'd like to invite Stanislav, the co-founder and the owner of PDM Engineering. Stanislav, congratulations. Please have a seat. Now, How are you planning to spend this voucher? Well, I'm not gonna give you a surprise, but that's gonna be more products. We're planning to use the vouchers in order to develop a prototype of the device that will be gathering the necessary information for us so that we would be able to further start the mass production of this equipment, as well as the software component. We're planning to develop a personal cabinet for the chief energy officer of the company, where it would be able to control the network when to search the data necessary. This is the area we're planning to invest into. And also, I'd like to express words of gratitude to you on behalf of our company and our team. You have saved this project this year because we were planning to freeze this project. And if not for your support, we wouldn't be able to start for a year or so. Well, I believe there will be more sort of demand for this product. Yes, it is. So this product is all about balancing the energy system and energy consumption. It will help to predict the energy consumption, and we all know where's the problem is coming from, because it's important to have balance and how it's important for the business and population. Good. We believe it's going to be very, very successful. So congratulations. And now let's get to complex things. And I have a final award that goes to another team, and it had a very great challenges. So we'll have a company that is developing solutions for the effective consumption of heating. This team was born in Kherson, and it moved to Odessa, and hopefully the business in Kherson will recover. And this team is producing the products for the accounting of heating in the buildings with an old vertical system of heat distribution that allows to account for this heating, to inform the user to register this heating and to optimize its use. So Teplotechnica and Product Recon. And we have Taras Kozik with us. Unfortunately, Taras couldn't manage to get to us. So we'll keep this award with us. And of course, we'll be able to provide it to you. We'll wish you to have an effective implementation of this program.
Це
Ура!
був фінальний грант з 13 переможців цього раунду кліматичних інноваційних ваучерів. І я хочу дуже подякувати тим, хто зробив це можливим. В першу чергу Європейському банку реконструкції і розвитку за ідею і Євросоюзу за фінансування. Це ядро цієї програми. Ми раді належати до цього. Ми раді бути імплементуючою стороною цього проекту. Я хочу також подякувати всім нашим партнерам, які допомагали поширити інформацію, які допомагали залучити нових грантерів. І особливо я хочу подякувати команді, яка вела ці проекти, яка готувала ці проекти, яка готувала сьогоднішню презентацію. Сашко, Оксана, Оля, як людина, яка дні і ночі вклала в цей процес. Так само я хочу подякувати нашим чудовим партнерам. Наприклад,
Європейському банку реконструкції та розвитку.
Я вже подякував. Але
Європейському Союзу. Дякуємо. І Роман Арсенович, вам, без кого цей проект би не відбувся.
Ну, that's a team sports. Також ми щасливі продовжувати працювати з нашою чудовою івент-командою Event Envoy. Ви традиційно прекрасні, навіть в умовах бомбардувань і відключень електроенергії. І ми сподіваємося на продовження наших зустрічей, і що ці зустрічі будуть вже в офлайні і з бокалом шампанського.
Так, як ми попередньо і планували. Тому ми невпинно продовжуємо дякувати нашим Збройним силам України, нашим силам протиповітряної оборони за те, що у нас є з вами можливість зібратися в онлайні чи в офлайні, привітати одне одного та жити наше життя і рухати зелені інновації вперед. Дякую.
Спасибі вам, успіху всім в реалізації проєктів, і дуже скоро ми оголосимо наступну хвилю відбору на програму «Кліматичні інноваційні ваучери». Але рік, в якому це станеться, буде вже плюс одиничкою. Це буде 2023 рік, недалеко від початку. Тобто десь на початку 2023 року заходьте на сайт Climate.
Побачимо.
Окей. Ти хочеш цього року?
Дуже.
Окей, ну добре.
Під ялинку.
То наша проектна координаторка прагне відкрити набір цього року. Я тебе розумію, можливо, так станеться, але я думаю, варто трішки відпочити. Ще раз всіх вітаємо, ще раз дякуємо за працю, ще раз дякуємо за зусилля і переходимо до праці, до роботи, до виконання проєктів. Всім перемоги і перемог. Це нам дуже важливо, і приєднаюсь до Олі в вдячності Збройним силам, протиповітряній обороні і всім тим, хто захищає нас, а також енергетикам і тим, хто бореться за те, щоб ми могли продовжувати працювати і бути такою resilient країною, resilient командою. Спасибі вам. Рухаємося вперед, створюємо зелений ВВП України. Дякуємо.
Дякуємо.
До нових зустрічей. Спасибі.
The world has never been as fast, convenient, and automated as it is now. New technologies are radically altering the way we interact with the environment and with each other. We enjoy the achievements of progress every day in almost every aspect of our lives, becoming more and more dependent on the convenience technology provides. But all this efficiency comes at a cost. Our cities, houses, fields, roads and forests, water sources, and finances are all under increasing pressure from climate change. And soon, the trend will become irreversible. Unless we act now. To avert climate disaster, our world needs a new generation of innovators for whom sustainability is not just a slogan, but the primary business objective. To get there, the European Bank of Reconstruction and Development, jointly with the European Union, launched the Climate Innovation Vouchers project in 2017 and selected Ukraine to be the launch pad for the pilot program. Greencubator, a Ukrainian clean tech ecosystem developer, is the EBRD's implementation partner in Ukraine. Greencubator has discovered and supported incredible entrepreneurial talents and innovators, creating solutions serving both the Ukrainian and global climate economy. They've designed record-breaking e-bikes that travel further than any other on a single charge, and 3D printed titanium components for the aerospace industry. They've developed seamless charging for electric vehicles and made solar blinds that turn your windows into micro power plants. They keep the air in your home healthy and fresh and protect your food from toxins. All of them meet consumer demands while reducing our carbon footprint. The development of these innovative green technologies has been made possible by the assistance and financial support from the Climate Innovation Vouchers project. Participants use the project grants for industrial design services, testing and certifying products both nationally and internationally, designing electronic components, software development, protecting intellectual property, and many other mission-critical services for the success of green ventures. Take Delfast, a Ukrainian bike developer and the holder of the Guinness World Record for the greatest distance traveled on a single charge. Thanks to the voucher, Delfast electric bikes have received a new heart that now beats in all of their new models, a new onboard computer and battery controller. They've also improved their frame design, patented their IP, and received the right to assign the vehicle identification numbers required to travel on highways. Delfast has recently signed a contract with the Mexican police, launched a line of freight bikes, and released a new model, the Delfast Top 3.0. In February 2021, the company successfully raised $3.4 million to build a Ukrainian manufacturing plant and ramp up production. Ukrainian agtech company Biosense developed a mobile lab that can detect mycotoxins in crops right in the field, eliminating the need to send samples to labs for analysis. Using the Climate Innovations Vouchers grant, the company has hired a leading industrial design bureau and created new prototypes that will soon enter production. With the voucher support, BioSense has also created a mobile app and completed technical documentation for small-scale production. The company was listed on FoodTech's top 500 rating list and is now discussing pilot projects with a range of crop farmers and traders. Toka, one of Ukraine's leading EV charging networks, provides charging services and develops its own charging stations. Thanks to support from the Climate Innovation Vouchers, Toka has upgraded its back-end software to offer seamless access to clients of other European charging networks, similar to the roaming experience in mobile networks. The company has also contracted a leading industrial design studio for the design of their future charging stations. Since implementing the new roaming protocol, Toka has already served over 289,000 charging sessions for its clients and continues to grow its network. Go2U offers out-of-the-box software that lets drivers reserve a time to charge along their route, attracting more electric vehicles to the charging stations with Go2U's reservation capability. Thanks to the Climate Innovation Voucher, Go2U has improved its mobile and back-end systems, in addition to expanding its network. The Go2U team has recently signed an agreement with the HubCheck e-roaming platform, adding 250,000 charging stations in 43 countries to its network. Xbeam 3D has developed a unique metal 3D printing technology using titanium wire. These 3D printed titanium parts are able to withstand high loads, vibrations, and extreme temperatures, meeting the requirements of the aerospace industry. The technology, called Xbeam 3D metal printing, is significantly cheaper, safer, and faster than 3D printing with titanium powder. Compared to the traditional manufacture of titanium parts in CNC machines, it reduces metal waste by 6 to 10 times. Thanks to the vouchers, the Xbeam 3D team was able to automate their printing process using a state-of-the-art software integration. The company also developed one of the largest vacuum cameras for 3D printing in Europe. The Ukrainian company Integro SD produces organic fertilizers from chicken manure in its biomass processing plant, helping increase organic farmers' yields. The Climate Innovation Voucher has enabled the company to develop an automated remote control system, obtain international quality certificates, enter the international market, and make its first fertilizer deliveries to clients in Cyprus. Prana creates energy-efficient ventilation systems called recuperators, which prevent indoor condensation and fungi and are easy to install too. With the Climate Innovation Voucher, Prana was able to add a smart controller that automatically selects operating mode depending on air quality, the presence of people, and other factors. They also developed a mobile app to increase the efficiency of the product. Prana exports to 38 countries, and about 1 million people worldwide use the company's products. Despite the COVID pandemic, Prana grew its global sales by almost 25% in 2020. Greencubator, inspired by innovators, is constantly looking for new green talents and strives to take the green innovation sector to the next level. In the first phase of the Climate Innovation Vouchers project, the Greencubator team conducted more than 700 individual consultations for applicants and received 216 applications. Of these, experts selected 31 companies. 26 companies completed their projects, receiving grant funding amounting to almost 1 million euros. In March 2021, the Climate Innovation Vouchers project entered its second phase. Thanks to the stunning success of the first phase, which showed a significant positive impact on the climate solutions it funded, the project is scaling up and now welcomes participants not only from Ukraine, but also from Belarus. The next phase of the Climate Innovation Vouchers project started accepting applications in April 2021. Join the new wave of climate innovators. Apply at www.climate.biz.